Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel. And in this video, we are going to set our lineups for week 2 of the 2022 fantasy football season. We got some non-PPR, half PPR, redraft, dynasty, all sorts of good stuff to go over. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So I went 0-3. I don't know how else to say it. I went 0-3 in week 1, but that's okay. It's a long season. We're going to bounce back. We had a lot of close games, including in this matchup right here. My bungling Buffaloes lost by 3.58 points. Okay. Long story short, taking a quick look at the box score. I had Javonte Williams, Metcalf, Sutton, and the Broncos defense all going on the Monday night game between the Broncos and the Seahawks. And I just couldn't quite get it done. Metcalf had a fumble. He lost a fumble, which was recovered by the Broncos defense. So that was a wash. The real reason I lost was Javonte Williams got a carry at the 1-yard line. Instead of scoring a touchdown and getting me +6, he fumbled, getting me a -2. So if he would have been able to get in the end zone, we would be sitting pretty, but it's all good. And taking a look at the bench, I mean, I could have played Miles Sanders, but realistically, I wasn't going to play Miles Sanders week 1 with all that uncertainty over anyone that I played. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that lineup. In terms of transactions that happened in that league, let's take a look at the transactions. If you care about what happened in the league, here it is. But I added Rex Burkhead, I believe, for like $6 fab dollars. That's pretty much all I did, I think. I also added Rashad White and dropped KJ Osborne for free after waivers ran, just because he should be the handcuff for the Buccaneers for Leonard Fournette, just in case something were to ever happen. And this is our week 2 lineup. All right. So I'm already down 17.3 against Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, Mahomes against the Chiefs, against the Chargers. He could have put up way bigger numbers. That game had a lot of potential to be a crazy scoring game. So I'm just glad he didn't put up like 5 touchdowns on me like he literally did in week 1. My opponent is without Keenan Allen, as well as Elijah Mitchell. So I got a little bit of a break there. He is starting Jeff Wilson at running back, which he could have a good game. Jacoby Myers, though, in the flex isn't necessarily a strong suit, I would say, of his team. And this is a non-PPR league, by the way. 12-team. This is a 12-team league, okay? 10th year of the league. We're looking for, our 4th championship in this league, so we got to get it. This week, I'm starting Kirk Cousins at Philly. He looked great in week 1 in that new look Minnesota offense with Kevin O'Connell taking over for Zimmer at head coach. I really like the way they attacked. Philly can put up points. I think this could, Kirk could have a good game. Jonathan Taylor is an every week start, especially at Jacksonville. No Michael Pittman. Are you kidding me? They're going to ride him all day long. Pause on that. But he's going to go crazy. Javonte Williams, he only had 8-ish points in non-PPR last week. I think the Broncos are going to destroy Houston, most likely. And Javonte, I'm hoping, will have a great game. He should have plenty of opportunity to. Tyreek Hill is an every week start against Baltimore. Dalton Schultz at tight end, even without Dak. It might hurt his ceiling a little bit, but I think he'll still be a nice, trustworthy tight end for me with Cooper Rush at quarterback. And then Courtland Sutton against Houston is in my flex. So the only real decision I had to make was DK Metcalf or Darnell Mooney. I wouldn't mind getting Miles Sanders in that lineup as well, but ultimately I'm going with the two stud running backs, Tyreek Hill, Courtland Sutton, and I am playing DK Metcalf in this league over Darnell Mooney. You'll see in a little bit that I do have another league where I have Metcalf and Mooney. This is a non-PPR league. I'm going with Metcalf. In the other league, I'm going with Mooney. When the decision is really tough like that, sometimes I'll just start one player in one and the other, and the other one in a different league, just to kind of diversify the old fantasy portfolio. We got the Rams kicker and the Broncos defense against Houston, and that is our first league. That lineup is all set. Nothing too crazy to really decipher. Now we're moving on to our auction league. So the first one was the League of Bros. That was a snake draft, non-PPR, 1 quarterback. This was an auction draft, the auction League of Bros. I think this is like the 4th year. We got 1 title in this league. And I started 0-1. It's a half PPR, Superflex, and we did lose in the first week. And I also lost Dak Prescott to injury. So I got smoked. This team had a lot of points. so I don't really feel too bad losing to the team that had the most points in the league. There's a number of teams I would have beat. I kind of had a mediocre performance, all right? So I went up against Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Jonathan Taylor had a great week for me. Kirk did pretty well, like I said. Aaron Jones was a little disappointing, but I think he'll bounce back. Jaylen Waddle luckily had that touchdown. Cooks did all right. Metcalf was a little disappointing. He had a lot of catches, but like no yards. Ertz luckily got in the end zone in garbage time. Javonte had 14.3. He had a number of receptions, Javonte did. I think if you can get him on the cheap, I mean, he had 11 receptions. Are you serious? I think as the season goes along, especially, he's going to be a league winner. But anyways, it was a good decision to not start Zeke or Darnell Mooney in that league last week. Moving on to where are my transactions? Here are my transactions. Okay, so these are the transactions that all happened in the league here. I'll just look at my team and what I did. I added Gerald Everett and dropped Albert O before the Thursday night game. And without Keenan Allen, I made the decision. You'll see, I started Gerald Everett over Zach Ertz. Time will tell if that was the right call, but Gerald Everett had a pretty nice game. We'll see in a sec. I also added Mitch Trubisky. Gus Edwards was on my IR. I put Dak Prescott on the IR, dropped Gus Edwards to make room for that transaction. And then I added Mitch Trubisky just because, I lost Dak. I need another quarterback on the roster. And Mitch Trubisky, with those weapons, with his mobility, I don't like him this week against New England, but maybe down the line, if he plays well, in the next few weeks, maybe he'll become sort of like a streaming option, which in a 2-quarterback league, this is a 10-team league, 2 quarterbacks. So there's not a lot of quarterbacks on the waiver wire. So that was pretty much the best I could add. Speaking of not having quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett, that's who my opponent has. I'm feeling good about that. The skill positions are looking pretty nice, though, for Team Tro, who is 1-0 and I'm 0-1. So, setting my lineup here, I already had Gerald Everett play, as I said. He scored 10.1 points on 6 receptions for 71 yards. No Keenan Allen in that game. Against the Chiefs, I expected it to be pretty high scoring, which it was decently high scoring, so I'm very proud of that play. We'll see if Zach Ertz is healthy. I wouldn't mind playing Zach Ertz if I didn't have a better option. I liked Everett, especially with no Keenan Allen. Ertz was a little bit limited in week 1. He did get in the end zone, luckily, like I said, but in week 2, I'm excited to see if he is a little bit more healthy from the injury he was recovering from, and if he gets on the field a little bit more. So with no Dak, I'm starting Davis Mills over Mitch Trubisky. Mitch against New England, I'm not a big fan of that. Davis Mills against Denver, I'm not really a big fan of that either, but I'm going to go with Davis Mills. He's honestly, his rookie season and this year, he's been solid. He's been pretty, he's exceeded expectations. Week 1, he had 15 and a half points against the Colts. I'm not expecting him to win me a week, but hopefully he does just enough to keep me afloat. I already talked about Jonathan Taylor and Javonte in my other league. Jaylen Waddle, Brandin Cooks are pretty much every week starts for me. Waddle against Baltimore, Brandin Cooks against Denver. I'm hoping this little connection, Mills to Brandin Cooks, can do something for me this week. I am playing Darnell Mooney over Metcalf in this league, as I mentioned. I'm just playing Metcalf in one, Mooney in the other. And then Aaron Jones. I really do like Aaron Jones this week. I think the Packers will bounce back. Obviously, they played the best team in the league, the Minnesota Vikings, week 1. They're just getting used to not having Devontae Adams. No Allen Lazard in that game either. MVS is in Kansas City. So they were really getting used to things. Now they're probably a little more acclimated, and they're going to own the Chicago Bears as Aaron Rodgers typically does. Aaron Jones should be a big part of that on the ground and in the air. At least I'm hoping for my fantasy team's sake. And then Kirk in the Superflex as my second quarterback. I am sitting Ezekiel Elliott. If you drafted Zeke, you are probably in a position where you have to start him. I am not of the mindset that he is completely useless now that Dak Prescott is out. Obviously, Dak's injury hurts the offense as a whole. But Ezekiel Elliott, in week 1, even though he didn't have a great week for fantasy, he ran at 5.2 yards a clip. And I watched a little bit of the game, and he looked pretty decent. It's hard to really tell, but he looked like he still had some juice. So we'll see what happens. But This was an auction draft, like I said. So the way I built my team, I got some great values at wide receiver, and I was able to get Ezekiel Elliott as pretty much my running back 4. So this is where we're at. I might have to trade for a quarterback at some point with a Dak injury, but we'll feel it out. And yeah, no real tough decisions this week, honestly, because I was always going to start these 3 running backs over Zeke, and then I did the DK Metcalf Darnell Mooney split, the Metcalf Mooney split. Moving on to our Dynasty League. This is the Dynasty League of Bros. I'm still seeking my first championship. I think I made it 2 years. It's been a league for like 5-ish years, so we're holding tight here. So just interesting enough, just to kind of give you some insight into a real trade that happened in my league, because the whole point of me making this video and all these lineup setting videos is to give you an insight into how a real fantasy manager manages their lineup and what goes on in a real life league. It's one thing to look at a trade spreadsheet and to listen to a podcast, but this is a real life league with real life people. And by the way, my face cam isn't blocking anything, is it? No, I think we're good. It kind of is now. You're not missing too much. Okay. Anyways, Darren Waller was traded for Kyle Phillips, rookie wide receiver of the Titans, and a 2nd-round pick. I don't think Darren Waller would go for a first just because he's 30 years old. And let's be honest, he's a talented player, but production-wise, he hasn't really been like that guy in a while. Like, last year even, he had a game here and there, especially week 1, but you probably didn't get enough value for Darren Waller. But in reality, sometimes in a real league, it's better to just sell and get something. I don't know what this team really considers himself. This is the team that had Waller. Now they're playing Tyler Higbee. He has a pretty nice roster. I don't know if he would win a championship with it. Here's a look at the bench. But this is, getting rid of Waller is that's a big deal for a team that you would think might be contending. So at this point, I'm not sure what the thought process is, but he did get a 2nd-round pick, which maybe he'll turn into something, or maybe not. And then Amari Cooper was traded for Trey Lance. So let me see. This team got Amari Cooper and a 3rd, and this team got Trey Lance. Amari Cooper was on my team a while back. I sent him away to the prodigious 6 and in a package, and I got the main thing was Joe Mixon. So that trade ended up working out for me. I think I included like a 2nd-round pick. I got like Mike Davis, something like that. Actually, let me just find it now. I just have to find it. Trade. Okay, let's see. Where is it? Where is that trade? Now that I brought it up, I feel like we have to look at it, right? Here it is. So I traded away. This was May 4th, 2021. I don't know why we're even looking at this, but it's just kind of fun to look back. I traded a 2022 3rd, a 2022 2nd, and Amari Cooper for Mike Davis and Joe Mixon. I'm pretty happy with that. I got Mixon so Mike Davis is irrelevant. I got Joe Mixon for Amari Cooper, a 2nd and a 3rd. And if I'm reading that right, the way they have this formatted is kind of weird, but I'm happy with that. I spent way too much time looking at that. Long story short, this is the week 1 matchup in this Dynasty League. This is half PPR, 10-team league, 1 quarterback. I just couldn't get it done, man. I lost by just under 6 points, 5.98. It looks like. I don't have Javonte. I completely lied about that. Tom Brady had an off game for fantasy. They didn't really need him to air it out. JT and Mixon did well. Miles Sanders did well. Jeudy did well. Mike Williams really let me down, though. DJ Moore. Honestly, I had a pretty okay week. I just barely lost. Looking at the bench, obviously I wasn't going to play Hilliard in his 2-touchdown performance. And then James Robinson coming off the Achilles. I didn't expect him to be this involved, but he got in the end zone twice, and, he had a great week. And I ended up scoring 129 points for fantasy. We'll call it 130. And it looks like I would have beat every team except for this one, and the one that I played. So that's just the way it is in fantasy. Sometimes you get a little unlucky. So far, though, in this league in week 2, I have played Mike Williams on Thursday night, And I did play the Chargers defense. At the last second, I put them in. I think I had the Cardinals in there. The Cardinals defense just looks so bad in week 1. The Bears against the Packers, I don't expect them to really generate a lot of turnovers and get a lot of sacks against the Packers. So I was just thinking, Chargers, Chiefs, it's a divisional game. Things happen. I mean, the Chiefs themselves had a pick 6 on Justin Herbert. When the ball is flying around that much and there's a lot of points on the board, you just never know. But unfortunately, the Chargers did not do much for me. They got me 1 point. So it is what it is. And in this Dynasty League, the waiver wire is just completely bare. And, you can't really stream a defense because every defense is owned. Literally. Like, every defense is owned. I'm starting Tom Brady. There's some question marks about his weapons. I'm hoping Mike Evans plays. I think Julio looked good in week 1. There's going to be no Chris Godwin. So we'll see how things turn out. But as of now, I'm playing him over a guy like Tua or Matt Ryan, especially without Michael Pittman. For sure over Mitch Trubisky. For sure over Trevor Lawrence. So if I do ever make a change to my lineup after I post the video, I will always comment it down below in the comments, and I'll put it in the description as well. Jonathan Taylor, auto start. Joe Mixon, auto start against the Dallas Cowboys for the Cincinnati Bengals. Courtland Sutton, DJ Moore, Mike Williams I played already, Jerry Jeudy. I love the Denver offense in general, and against Houston I think they can do some things. And DJ Moore, he's frustrating to have in fantasy. I traded for him in the offseason, but you just start him and you hope he has a good week. If you know, he's been a bit of a disappointment largely because of the quarterback play. He's very talented, but it is what it is. And then the only real decisions I had to make in this league, Miles Sanders in the flex. Against the Lions, the Eagles put up a ton of points. Miles Sanders, we'll just look at his stats. 13 for 96, great yards per carry, got in the end zone. Only 2 targets. You'd probably want a little bit more. A couple other running backs also got rushing touchdowns in that game as well. I would love it if Miles Sanders was just the bell cow back, all the goal line work, but Boston Scott exists. So I don't think we'll ever get the true Miles Sanders experience, but I am rolling with him against my Minnesota Vikings. It was really between him, James Robinson, against the Colts. I don't love it. That was a close call for me. I am just going with Miles Sanders. I have no Chris Godwin as well. He's out. DeAndre Hopkins is suspended. So I think my starting lineup is actually pretty good, considering I am missing 2 of my top wide receiver options. And then my other decision at tight end was Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert. One thing I might change after I post this video, I might put Dallas Goedert in for Dalton Schultz, just because, kind of like I did with Metcalf and Mooney. Sometimes I'll play if I'm torn between 2 players and I have that same pair in multiple leagues, I'll play the guy in one league and I'll play the other guy in another league, right? Or if I have one player in multiple leagues, I might start him in one league over one player and not start him in another league over another player, just to kind of get different exposure to different players. I just think I like Dalton Schultz more, even with the Dak injury. Cincinnati's a good matchup against tight ends. Even week 1, Pat Freiermuth had a good game against them, and he had Mitch Trubisky throwing him the ball. And I think Dalton Schultz is going to see targets. Even without Dak, the Cowboys are going to have to score. They're not just going to be able to run the ball with Zeke in between right up the middle every play. So I think Dalton Schultz will be an option in the middle of the field. I don't really know what Cooper Rush's tendencies are, but sometimes you see kind of a quarterback come into a new situation. They might lean on their security blanket tight end. Is he going to be airing it out to CeeDee Lamb as much? Probably not. I guess we'll just kind of see what happens. And then George Kittle, I'm assuming he's not playing. Even if he does play, we'll see. I'll have to monitor the news. And if I end up changing anything in these lineups, I will always comment it down below, like I said. So those are all my lineups. I kind of got on a bit of a rant looking at old trades, but sometimes it's just fun to look at stuff like that. So this is our chill little lineup video that we do each and every week. I got it out a little late. I had a busy week, and hopefully I will be getting these videos out earlier in the week as we go along. So with that being said, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's just chit chat in the comments if you want. All right. Peace out, everybody, and good luck in week 2.